Today I'm going to take you through my new clubs for 2024, show you what's in the bag, why they're in the bag, also how far I'm hitting each one. So let's get started with what we have here. So I've come down to Quinta del Lago, I'm on Larangel. I'm going to play holes 5, 6 and 7, which have a nice variety, a par 4, a par 3 and then a par 5 to finish, which is going to give me a good scope to go through all my clubs. But I think before we actually talk clubs, I think we need to talk gadgets, because sometimes I think in the past I've left these out, and I've made quite a few changes in terms of the ones that I'm using right now. So firstly, the watch on the wrist. I never thought I'd be a watch wearer when it came to the golf course. I was a laser man through and through. I had to get the exact yardage, but I used the more premium watch, the X5, for quite a long period of time, which had the touch screen on it. It only had 2 buttons, but I've actually changed to the V5 now, which has just come out recently. It has 4 buttons on it. It's not a touch screen, so you operate everything by the buttons on the side. And for me, I found that I wasn't really using the touch screen that much, because when it came to pin placement, I would actually go into my laser, which I'll get to in a second. But I found with this just a little easier to use. But the big thing with the watch, the reason why I love it, is because of all the tags that just sit in your club there. They look very nondescript and don't really get in the way or look too clumsy. But then what they afford you is the ability to track everything when you're out on the golf course. So I'm getting the real-time data using the ShotScope app, and it actually enables me to see exactly how I'm performing, which I think for me has opened my eyes to actually my game as a whole, because there's areas where I thought were good, and then when actually you see them with your stats, they're not that good. So that's the first thing. Second thing gadget wise is the new Pro ZR that I'm using. So has the slope option. It's the more premium offering that they have from ShotScope. Feels a little bit heavier in hand, feels a bit more hard wearing. Slope, like I say, has the red and black display when you look down the laser, adjustable little eye lens for the focus, and just overall a very, very good laser, and one that when I'm not using the watch, if I want a dead accurate yardage when I get maybe a bit closer, that is what I'm using for my gadget. So first club we're going to talk about is actually the newest one that's come into the bag. I, again, didn't think I would generally have one of these clubs in my bag, and that is a 5-wood. It's an STG from Mizuno. It's the titanium one, weight up in the centre of the head, pushed towards the front, so it's not ballooning up in the air as much. I've got a Fujikura 8X TR shaft in here, and what I'm finding was that my forward, I generally didn't use it that much. I'd maybe use it maybe once around, and in a month I'd probably use it 2 or 3 times. As well with the 5-wood, the good thing now, like I say, I never thought I'd have one, because for me they just went too high and didn't get a great amount of distance. As well this one, I'm getting good distance, but it's not popping out, but it's not super long and right up next to my driver, which is where that 4-wood 3-wood was getting that way a little bit. But let's give this a little pip down the hole here. It's 430 yards this 5th hole. If I can get this out to about 250, should only leave me a mid-iron into the green. It's very confidence inspiring, this one, when you put it in behind the golf ball. I have got it cranked as well, so it's not 18, it's 17 degrees now. But a lovely little club, feels quite heavy in the hands, but when you hit it, we get beautiful little shots like that. It doesn't pop up too much, just over the trees, and a real sort of fairway finding machine, this thing. It's new, I've only had it a couple of weeks, but I'm starting to really enjoy it. If I do find it's maybe getting a bit too high, maybe not going quite long, I might go back to the forward, but for now this is doing everything I would want a forward to do. So the second newest addition to the bag are these, my irons, and I've actually got a bit of a split set which I'll get onto a little bit later. But as well, if you haven't already, make sure you're checking out the iron fitting video I did for these, because in there is our biggest giveaway that we're doing. When we hit 250,000 subscribers here on the channel, you've got the chance to win a full set of Mizunos and come and play 9 holes with me at Bearwood Lakes before your fitting. So make sure you're checking that out. But in terms of the irons, what I've done is go for the Mizuno 243s. These are in between the 241s and the 245s, the ones being the blade, the 5s being the slightly bigger headed ones. And for me, they've got a compact look, but they've still got that cavity in them, which allows me to, when I'm not quite playing my best golf and I'm not quite finding the middle all the time, it allows me to get away with a little bit of a misstrike there. So I've got that sort of added confidence when I put it down behind the blade that A, it looks good to my eye, but also I know that I've got that little bit of forgiveness backing me up. Now, I've got these in 5 to pitching wedge, and one other change that I have made, last year I had my Ping I230s, and you will have seen as well that I had the Fujikura Axioms in those. I had 125 grams, but now I've actually gone down to the 105 gram X Flex in those, simply because with it being a little bit lighter, when I'm not quite on my game and I'm not quite timing it as well, sometimes it felt like those 125s, I had to be like busting a gut to make sure, you know, I was delivering a great swing, as where I've still got the ability of the X Flex here, but what I've got is that little bit of forgiveness, and if I'm not quite with it, it doesn't feel like it's too much to handle for me now. So I found, you know, again, only had these in the bag for a week or so, but they're feeling a little bit more friendly to me, and the looks, like I say, and the feeling that you get from a Mizuno is exactly what we want. So I do know that some people like the intricacies of actually seeing the full makeup of the club, and just so you do know, 105, like I say, in the Axiom X Flex. The lofts are the standard lofts. If you went on there, there's not like a power loft or an old traditional loft there. They're what they are on the tin. The head angle, the lie angle, so they're ½ degree flat. And then the grips, I've just got the Golf Pride Z cores, and funnily enough, I have the Golf Pride underneath because for me, I don't like seeing it. I probably should do, because my grips, where if I start getting a little bit sloppy on the course, it goes from my grip and then feeds through my game. So might need to get them turned round, but let's see what we can do here. 175 up to the flag. Let's just knock a little 7-iron down, a little punch one, full blood. A little bit skinny, but should come back down the slope. So you've seen the golf ball there, and that's one thing that has probably chopped and changed a lot over the years. I've never really stayed consistent. I did for a long time with Pro V1, then went to Pro V1X, but then I was just trying balls that we were testing for videos and playing with, you know, what I would buy and things like that, really, is where now you see that I've got the Chrome Tour X with the Truvis and the line on it. And there's 2 reasons that I've done this. Number one, numbers were really good. Driver was good, wedges were good, and it felt like I could get real control around the green. Oh, you little rascal. And the second reason that I've done this is all because of what we see with the Truvis and the line. When lining up with this golf ball, I feel it gives me a real solid setup base. So I always find if I'm struggling with putting, it's my shoulders and my feet get out of line, and then I don't feel matched up, as where when I line this golf ball now at the hole, I use the line for my club face alignment, but then the Truvis, having the 4 points around it, gives me sort of a real square base to get aligned up to. And once I'm in, it's just giving me that perfect visual every time now to make sure I'm lined up and trusting what I'm doing in my setup. So I'm going to try and stick with these as much as I can, because that, I think, if you are someone who struggles with alignment, even if you were using them off the tee, for me, that visual, it just gives you a great channel to get right in the slot with it. So we've gone to the 6th hole here at Laranjal, and it's a one that throws up a few options from the bag, actually. It's today a par 3 that is playing 205 yards to the flag, slightly into the wind, with water just hovering up near the pin. Now, it affords me a couple of options, my bag now. Normally, in my old ones, they were a little bit bigger, the I230s, but when you got towards the 4 and 5 iron, I thought maybe they were a little bit too big, a little bit clumsy. But what I have done, like I say, I've got a split set and I've gone for the 245 here. Reason being, the sole's just a little bit bigger and the bounce just gives me a little bit more forgiveness. I'm generally very shallow when I am playing well and actually clipping my irons off nicely. I'm not a real massive divot taker, so with the 243s just being a little bit smaller or the 241s being really small, this 4 iron just affords me that little bit more forgiveness for sweeping it off the turf a little bit more. And then also with the head size and the way the weight's moved around the perimeter, again, if I'm not striking it great, just gives me that little bit of forgiveness. The other option I could hit here if I wanted to get a little bit shapy with it, and before we pull it out of its head cover, one thing that I am really proud of, and it's down to everyone supporting the channel, is what we've got on the head covers. It's the Dukes here at the St Andrews. So, you know, I'm a partner of the Dukes and the Old Course Hotel, and we shoot some great content up there, and everyone from the course and the resort is just fantastic to work with, and it makes me really proud that, you know, I get to put that logo on my clothes, on my hat and on these head covers. And I'm quite liking this little pom-pom, which is where we see my next club, which is my hybrid club, but I'll get into that on the par 5 next, which I think I'll need for my second shot because it's going a little bit too long for this hole today. So we'll go for the 4 iron. We've got 205, like I say, winds off the left. Just going to get that nice little fadey one here. Please be the number. Please be the number. Oh, that is a great golf shot. Come down the hill. Well, that is why I've got a 4 iron like that. You probably can't see it. You'll see where the shot tracer went, but when we get up to the green, that was a high cutty 4 iron, which I felt so confident in hitting because I've just got that little buffer of forgiveness, and I've hit that to about, it looks about 15 foot from here. Felt good. And even when it's not on a tee and it's off the deck, you know, on a tight lie, I'm still confident of getting this, and even out of a little bit of rough as well, I'm still confident of actually achieving good shots with that club. So you can see where that iron has just come into there. We've got probably about just outside 18 foot there. It's probably one of the better 4 irons I've hit. And I'll just throw up as well how far I'm hitting each individual iron. We've recorded me going through the bag here from my 4 iron down to my pitching wedge with those distances. And like I said earlier, guys, as you see me hitting these irons, if you do want a set of Mizuno irons yourself, make sure that you are part of the giveaway. You've got to be a subscriber to Matt Fryer Golf here on YouTube, a subscriber over on the Mizuno channel, and also you've got to go and follow Mizuno over on Instagram. And don't worry if you are an international viewer who can't come down to Bearwood Lakes to get your fitting. I've also got a set of irons to give to one of you guys as well. So make sure you are entered. Go and watch the iron video. We'll put the link up here for it now, and also leave the comment in the video that we talk about in the iron fitting. Go and do it and win yourself that truly amazing prize. Right, use my channel. The next thing we need to talk about is what I hold here in my hand. And as you probably know, if you are a long time subscriber to the channel and seen a lot of videos, you'll know that this probably won't last. I've changed putters, I think, more than I've changed underpants in this year's calendar. But I am aiming to try and stay with the same putter. It's a even roll putter. It's 33 inches. I know that whatever putter I have, it will always be 33 inches. The way I stand to the golf ball, the way I address it, that just feels the most comfortable. I've used it for years now, so when I get a 34 or a 35 inch in my hand, it doesn't feel right, and I very quickly get rid of it. But 33 inch shaft, but then when we get to head, it's the even roll EV 5.2. It's very much like a Fang model like we see from an Odyssey number 7 or a Scotty Cameron Phantom. It's got a couple of aim lines as we look at it, 2 on the back of it, 1 on top. And then the big change is this Golf Pride grip, the reverse taper. Now for me, I've gone for the medium size one, and I've gone for the flat grip. We will have a video on these grips coming out very soon, so make sure you check that out because they are quite interesting. But what this essentially does, it's almost turned the grip upside down as where it goes. in the old ones being fat to thin, it's flipped on its head now. It goes thin to fat, and then the way this head's built with all its weight around the parameter and going towards the back of the putter, the stability of the head, the alignment on it, and then the way this grip actually keeps your hands super stable, for me, I feel like it's a lethal combo. And like I said, I want to just get to the point where I am now just literally working with this all the time and not chopping and changing. If it goes off, it's up to me to put a little bit of practice in. So this and my alignment aid with the golf ball is where we want. Oh, just pushed it slightly. But that is my putter, that's the one I'm using. If I do start chopping and changing, and you are a regular viewer, and you will be a subscriber now because you've just heard about our giveaway, just get in the comments of the videos, Matt, stop changing your putter, and I will go back to this one straight away, I promise. On to the next tee, where we find out what you've all been waiting for, what you little rascals want to know the most about. That's the big dog. Changes there as well. A beautiful hole, the 7th here at Larangel, elevated tee with water just encroaching all the way down the right, which requires a very accurate big stick, or else you'll be going through a few balls. And for me, that is the Paradigm AI Smoke Triple Diamond. Now I do have a 10.5 head on this one, but it's neutral, and I've lowered the loft so it's 9.5. Reason for that being, it allows it just to try and sit a little bit more open. And also, with my numbers and everything, I don't generally spin the ball too much. I'm pretty decent, but I was getting maybe a little less spin than I would want with a driver. But with this one, keeping it at that 9.5 and getting that sort of open look, I'm able to get the optimum number. Coupled that with Ventus TR Red 6X. And for me, this driver has been probably the best looking one out of all this year's releases. I really liked last year's one, but it was just too uncontrollable. I couldn't keep it on the planet. It looked great, but just wasn't good as well. This one, even when I'm not quite striking it, I still feel like I've got that sense of forgiveness and workability with it. So yeah, this one, I think a area of my game is need to be a little bit more consistent off the tee. I've got the length. I just need to not be putting myself in too many disastrous places, so I might go back to the ping. I do have a rascal Azalea Fuji Ventus at home for that, but for now this one is where we're pinning our flag against the mast on this, and we just need to probably work on the game instead of chopping and changing. But you'll see my number come up here for what I'm carrying this at the minute out here in the heat. Obviously it's going a long way, but overall I found it long and I found it forgiving. Let's see if that is the case down this 7th hole. Oh, that is an absolute belter. Now if I hit every drive like that, I'd be happy. It's miles down there. Don't know if you can get it on the zoom, but slap bang in the middle, went out like a rocket. Did someone say tournament Q school? So before we get on to the final thing, my wedges, one club that is filling the gap is this one, and this one hasn't changed. I don't think I will change it ever because it's just so reliable. It's so easy to use. It pops it up in the air, easy to shape. I can keep it low. Even chipping with this thing is, you know, pretty good. And that's the Ping G430 rescue wood here. I've got a 19 degree number 3. I do have it set on the flat mode instead of its standard mode or taking loft or added loft on. It's literally just cranked down, I think by a degree it goes flatter in terms of the lie angle. The shaft is again a Fuji Ventus, it's the HB 8X, and for me a club that goes a great distance, and like I say, most of all, is just something that is so reliable. If I was driving it awfully, or there was holes that I was nervous on and I wanted to just poke it down towards the fairway, it does that. And then a hole like this where I've now got 230 to the middle and I can carry it there, but if I want a little bit of shape on it as well, I'm able to do that. So a club that I think overall has just got so much going for it, and one that I would highly recommend. But let's see if we can just shape this little one into the middle of the green with a nice high cutty number. And that is the perfect example. High cut, and I didn't even quite catch that. And it's popped on to the fringe. I think it's just trundled off the back, but a club for me that I think for many moons now, this one will go down as, it's probably not my most used club, but it's definitely one of my favourite clubs when I do get it out of the bag. It's just does what it says on the tin. It is just so good, so easy to use. And here we have the dessert to our buffet we have just sampled. Firstly, one change that has happened is the shafts. I started actually with steel shafts in these heads, then I've gone to 105 MCI Fujikura graphite shafts. Now I'm in a 125 graphite shaft. Definitely the heavier one just helps control the spin, helps control sort of hitting the right flight windows. With the 105s that I had in the Mizunos, ballooning them a lot, losing or gaining too much spin and losing a lot of distance. But got these now. I will caveat that with, I'm probably going to change these soon, only because I've had the heads now for about probably a year and a half, and I've hit quite a lot of shots with them, and I probably just need some slightly fresher grooves. I've given them a clean, but I am reluctant to change because they are fantastic heads and they do look great. I've got the Titleist SM9s here. I've got them in a 50, a 54 and a 60, and you'll see how far sort of my, wow, that was a big fall. Hope everyone's safe. I've got them in the 50, the 54 and the 60, and I'll throw up my stock yardages here, what I do hit them, but what I will say is that I generally don't hit these clubs full. The 50 maybe, the 54 occasionally, the 60 I couldn't tell you the last time I hit a full shot with it. I definitely sort of use a lot of half swings, 3/4 swings, and a lot of feely shots, and then obviously shots like these around the greens. You know, if I wanted to be running the golf ball a little bit more and just getting that initial spin, that's probably where I take something like this, my 50, and I play more of my sort of back foot running sort of drawy like chips with this one. I tend to find I still get a nice little bit of zip like we see there, but I'm able to still then get the control as we're going through, and then as we work down through them, you know, if it was a case where we need a little bit more loft, it's definitely out of the bunkers. My 60 is the club that I'm referring to, but then generally around the greens, I would say my 54, I tend to use this one the most. Now this club, it's got 10 degrees of bounce, it's got the S bounce or grind angle on it, which allows me to be a little bit more versatile. It's not too straight, it's not it's not overly large amount of bounce. It just allows me, if I want to open it up, if I want to close it down a little bit, different little shots I want to hit, I'm able to just to play around and be, like I say, a little bit more versatile with them. But for me, if I can just maybe get slightly fresher grooves just to gain that little bit of consistency with them, that would just be a little bit more help. But here, 54 degree, a little bit open, I can just throw it up a little bit more and just see, you know, with that offering the 50, 54 and 60, I've pretty much got every base covered there. I'm able to, you know, hit high, low, medium, and just have the right tools for the job, as it were. Go on then, end it that way. Oh, nearly would have been one heck of an outro. But guys, that is my 2024 bag. Like I said earlier, make sure you're heading over to that iron video so you can be part of the biggest giveaway we're doing ever on this channel. 250k subscribers. As soon as we hit it, we are drawing the giveaway. I hope you enjoyed that video. Gives you a little insight to what I'm using. If you see me changing loads in the comments, hammer me for that, and I will see you in another video very soon. So to be in with a chance to win these fantastic prizes that Dave has offered up for us, there's a few things that you need to do. Firstly, you need to be a subscriber to this channel, because when we hit 250,000 subscribers, that is when we are going to pick the winner. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Secondly, I need you to go and subscribe to Mizuno's YouTube golf channel, and I also need you to go and follow Mizuno Golf Europe over on Instagram. Now, if you want to win the full set of golf clubs, there's also an extra little challenge for those, because you're going to be coming down here to the fitting centre to get the full fitting for them. And that's not before we head out onto Bearwood Lakes to play 9 holes and take on a few little challenges that we have in store to see which clubs you will win. Hopefully, and I've got a good feeling, you will actually win the full bag. And to do that, you need to comment down in the comments, Matt, I'm ready to play. You need to be available to come down to Bearwood Lakes and take part in that 9 holes and get your fitting down here. That's Matt, I'm ready to play in the comments for the full bag. If you are an international viewer and you can't get down here, don't worry, we've got you covered. What I want you to do in the comments is comment your favourite Mizuno golf club from years gone by. Winners will be picked at random from those 2 comments, and when we hit 250k, the giveaways will happen. So get sharing, get people subscribing to the channel. We've got 25,000 to go, and as soon as we hit that 250k mark, we're going to be doing those giveaways. So get subscribing, get commenting, and then you're going to get this beautiful set.